everybody, this is Audra here at Homesteading in Idaho. So I'm going to talk you guys through what we do with our goats before we leave our house when we're going to take them somewhere. Like if we're going to go to a show, if like tonight we have FFA practice for showmanship and they're checking on the animals. But there's a few things we're going to do besides just grab the goat, load them up and go. And a lot of this has to do with biosecurity. Obviously, if we're taking them off the place, we risk bringing something back all the time. And that can be on the goat or on us. You know, biosecurity, that's our way of trying to keep germs, pathogens from coming into our herd and from affecting us. Because there are things that you can pass from goat to human, human to goat, and goat to goat. So we try to be very proactive in how we are keeping our animals and ourselves healthy. So anyway, you can hear the complaining in the background. That's Squash. She's complaining. She's actually not leaving tonight, but her half-sister is, and they don't like being separated. But she'll be okay. She's got her friends. She's just very upset at the moment. But anyway, I'm going to take you guys over to the wash rack where I've got chocolate chip and Pop-Tart and talk you through the first part of what I'm doing. We're here at the wash rack. We've got chocolate chip and Pop-Tart. Pop-Tart's the guy right here in front. Chocolate chip's behind him. So one of the things that we're going to do before we leave is these guys are going to get a bath, and not just any bath. So when we give them a bath, we're going to use my favorite soap in the whole world, Dawn dish soap. And the reason these guys are going to get a bath with Dawn dish soap is that if these guys potentially have lice or mites, it's going to kill any adult lice or mites that are on these goats, so that we're not taking anything to somebody else. We don't want to go give somebody else's herd lice or mites. Now, do I suspect we have them? No. We have a strict protocol with our goats on how often they get baths. With the Dawn dish soap, we do a 3-day regiment where for 3 days in a row they get baths, and then we wait 3 days and then they get 3 more days of baths with it. And the reason we do that is 3 days is getting rid of any adults on these goats. Take a few days off, and then if there was any eggs on the goat, those eggs have hatched, you have adults, and right about then you're getting them as they're like young adult bugs, so hopefully they're not hatching any more eggs or laying any more eggs, and then we wash them again. And so hopefully that's just how we end the life cycle of anything on these animals. And actually, this is ironic that this is the day that we're going, because this falls right in line with their bath cycle. And so far they've had no signs of mites on our goats, mites and lice. Goats that have a lot of mites and lice, they'll stomp their feet, they'll pick at their feet with their mouths because those bugs are getting down there, they're biting them, they suck their blood. And they'll have like patches of hair falling out. Their hair will look bad. They'll itchy like crazy. So there's just a lot of different things you can look for. So anyway, I'm going to get these guys wet, and then I'm going to get the dish soap on them and just start scrubbing. Now, I have another video with another goat, Aurora, where I went into detail on bathing, and you guys can catch all the details there. But just for saving time and for sake of this video not being too long for you guys, I'm not going to show the entire process, but you guys can go check out that other video. But these guys are going to get their bath. Well, Pop-Tart did pretty darn good today. These young goats, they always have a little bit of a rodeo when it's bath time, but he did really, really well. Now, of course, couldn't get the camera on fast enough, but something else that we do when we're traveling with our goats is their collars and their lead ropes. So I took the dish soap and I saturated this lead rope and his collar, and then the other equipment we're going to take is also soaking in dish soap right now, and it's going to soak. And the goat right now, he actually has not been rinsed off. He's got soap on him, and I'm going to let him stand there for 5 minutes and let that soak in. Now, I know that sounds really crazy and maybe bad, but what it's doing is if there's any adult bugs on this goat, it's hopefully killing them. The wonderful thing about Dawn dish soap, and why I choose to use it over a lot of other soaps that I could use for my goats that are offered in many pet stores and feed stores, but we prefer the Dawn dish soap because it actually will go in there and it will kill the bug. Dawn dish soap contains chemicals that when it's on a bug, it dries out their exoskeleton. So essentially their exoskeleton dries out and it cracks and the bug dies. So this is just a really great way at making sure they're dead. I haven't had a lot of success with a lot of the other soaps that are available on the market we've tried different ones over the years, and I always just end up going right back to dish soap. I prefer the Dawn dish soap. It has worked beautifully for us, and it also has not irritated the animal's skin. Like, we've tried some other ones and definitely noticed if there's any that, like, say that they're smelly, or, you know, like they've got flavor, or not flavors, but like smells, kind of avoid those. They just like with people, goats can have sensitive skin, and so you don't want to end up with a goat having issues because you use something that smelled like apples or whatever, or flowers. So anyway, yeah, just kind of, you know, be aware of what you're using, but that's why I use the Dawn dish soap. Okay, so I'm gonna let him sit, and while he's sitting, I'm gonna get Chocolate Chip there wet real quick and start her soaping. So when these goats are getting a bath, they get a bath everywhere. That scrub brush is on their head, it's at their ears, underneath their tail, in the armpits, their crotch, you name it. I'm not missing a single spot where those bugs might be. That includes picking up their feet, whether they're kicking me or not, and scrubbing where their toes are, and up and down everywhere. Because if there's potentially bugs, I want them dead before we travel, or just dead in general. We don't want bugs on our animals, period. Well, now Pop-Tart is down there. I'm letting him enjoy the sunlight, and he can nibble on the grass and weeds, or he can stand there and be worried. Whatever he wants to do, that's up to him. Chocolate Chip is almost ready to be rinsed off. Getting close, just another minute and a half roughly. So anyway, I will rinse these guys off, and then I'm going to let them stand in the sunlight. It's currently 81 degrees today and very sunny. Now, this is a late practice tonight. We don't start till 8 p.m. and we're beating the heat and everything else, which is great, but it's going to make it a little rough when we get home, because we have to bathe these guys again once we get home, just in case we picked up something from the other house, the other property. So when we get back, these guys are going to be unhappy with us, but they're going to have a second bath. But to keep them healthy, I've got goat coats. I can put coats on them, but what we'll do is we'll wash them off and then towel them dry, really, really nice and dry. And then if I see them shivering, I will prepare to get them covered with their goat blankies, goat coats. But they do have clean bedding. This time of year, I do not use straw. Straw is a great breeding ground for mites and lice. In the wintertime, when it's freezing cold, I've not had trouble with mites and lice. But once that warm weather of spring through fall is here, mites and lice absolutely thrive in straw. So we switched to cedar chip bedding, cedar shavings, and that's great for keeping bugs away. So that's another way we're combating bugs, is by using the cedar. We don't have issues with it affecting the goats. Now, I will not use cedar with itty bitty babies. You know, once they're a couple months old, few months old, then I haven't had issues. But we do use straw when they're little. But once they're older, the cedar works wonders. All right, Chocolate Chip, it's time to get rinsed off. Now, if you're wondering why Henry's not out here taking care of his FFA goats and getting them ready, it's because after his summer school classes this morning, they were done at noon, and then working on his online classes, he got a message that there was the practice tonight, and he usually gets off work tonight at 8 o'clock, but that's when the practice is going to be. So he had to go into work early so he could get off early. And well, I'm a 4-H alumni. No, I didn't get to do FFA. It wasn't available at one school that I had gone to, and then once I had moved to another school, it was just not in my schedule, sadly. I wish I had done FFA now, but at the time I didn't. I was a 4-H'er. So I'm just going to say, being a 4-H alumni and having done this myself many times as a youth, you know, juggling my schedule, I'm going to help my kid out and get his goats ready for him. And if you're asking where John is, who is in 4-H, well, he was supposed to be out here helping me, and he totally passed out and is in one heck of a deep nap. And, you know, sometimes as a parent, doesn't matter how old they are, if they're sleeping, let them be, right? So this just made it so I could talk to you guys, video what we're doing, and have some quiet time with the goats. Next step, fly spray. I love this Bronco fly spray. I do add a teaspoon of vanilla to it, because for whatever reason, flies hate vanilla with a passion. So even though it has the citronella in it, I add the vanilla to keep the flies away.